Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're at, ladies and gents. I am Kura Isagami, your resident tinker and Medarotter, and this is the Medarot News Network, bringing you all the latest developments and happenings with our favorite pet fighting robot series. Well, it looks like the 5.5-year anniversary of Medarot S is finally upon us, and just to take a minute and reflect on this, being completely real, it's honestly kind of a milestone unto itself that a lot of gacha games can even make it this far. Typically, they usually will last no longer than 3, maybe 4 years at most before they start fizzling out, but Medarot has most certainly not stopped or lost any momentum in the 5.5 years it has currently been ongoing, releasing a whole bunch of brand new designs, having a lot of collabs, and revealing a lot of older designs, either getting touched up with new models, or even bringing back older ones into the fray as well. So it's been just one non-stop heck of a trip, seeing all these brand new features and mechanics joining the game officially, and even reliving some older ones. But this week in particular, for the first half of the 5.5-year anniversary, is going to be very exciting with the introduction of a brand new Trump King type. Now, for those that are out of the loop, the Trump King series, or Trump cards essentially, are no stranger to Medarot, as they first appeared in the original Medarot 3 with Gan King, May Queen, Jackal, and First Ace. But as you see here with this brand new model that will be joining the game here starting this week, things are going to be definitely taking a very powerful turn as far as the meta is concerned, with high defense and just what you can bring to the table and the kind of protection you can add to any team that they're put on. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into what was officially announced for this week, starting with the gacha banners and who to expect in this first half of the 5.5-year anniversary lineup. Now, for this week alone, we're only going to be getting one brand new model joining the banner system around as everything sets, and that is the new TKG type, TKG-01 King Landio, with a mostly new kit of SF Aid, Reduce, Countdown, Biped Legs, and the leg ability of Unshakable, which, for the absolute unit that he is designed to be, both as a castle, a wall, and a Trump King, it only makes sense that he only has the Unshakable leg ability to boost his resistance where possible. Now, as far as what he brings to the table, basically he's just a souped-up version of Gan King, instead trading one countdown for essentially a brand new skill that makes being able to knock down that countdown timer a whole lot easier than it was before. And Super First Aid, which I'm assuming is the abbreviation there, offering a brand new kick to the First Aid with a 50% HP restoration instead of a 10% with 3 charges instead of 5. Now, King Landio, much like the original TKG type Gan King, also can meta change into a true castle or wall type form, I guess you can call it, evolving from the original suit of armor of the Gan King, with a kit of a Zetai Guard, Force Trap, Charge Plant, Float Legs, and the leg ability of Pupa. So between King Landio's base form and his MC mode, he's introducing 3 brand new skills here. Force Trap in particular is going to be a really nasty one for all your Metaforce reliant nukers on the enemy side, because every time that trap is triggered, it'll eat a certain amount of gauge from the enemy's charge gauge, meaning that if they have a charge requirement or a threshold that's required, this is going to be a very good way to kind of curb a lot of those, or even prevent them from being able to unleash anything, because it'll eat the charge before any action is taken. So I can see King Landio being an extremely powerful, and in a lot of cases, an extremely frustrating wall. I'm going to use that term a lot when describing King Landio, for what he brings to the table both as a defender and as an interruption type, especially a charge interruption type that he brings with his kit. Now, alongside King Landio, we're also rerunning the original 2 half-year anniversaries from the 4.5-year last year, and that is with KBT-05M Saikachi's C, with Missile, Rifle, and Gatling C, Biped Legs, and Momentum, who can meta change into the Destruction-type Crafty mode with Meta Sprayer, Railgun, Max Vulcan, Multi-Legs, and Blowby. And we also have KWG-05M Dorcas C, with Radar Sight, Sword, and Hammer C, Biped Legs, and Lightweight, who can transform into his Crafty mode with Meta Shears, Jet Blow, Jet Hammer, Float Legs, and High Fly. Now, being completely honest, when these 2 first dropped last year, it was already in a pretty solid space with what they brought to the table. But with them being rerun again, this makes it for a very powerful and a very well beloved and highly sought after gacha this week. Now, as a friendly reminder, Saikachi and Dorcasy and King Landio are all meta change type models, so this is basically your warning that when you do go after their banners, it will be essentially you either get the entire set all at once or none at all. So consider this your warning. Pitying parts unfortunately does not exist unless you choose to go for the hard pity at 25 pulls, which at that point I would start reconsidering your life choices. Now, as far as the fierce battles are concerned this week, it is going to be a pretty static heavy utility-based week as well, with static available for any newcomers or rookies that are still looking to collect a lot of very solid parts. Starting us off on this top row is HNT-01 Queen Vespa with heater plant, double static, float legs, and extra magazine. GDR-0 Gun Desperado with rifle, double anti-air, biped legs, and gunman. And HKD-0 Hakato with charge plant, hammer, guard 300, biped legs, and fortress. On the bottom row, we have SKD-0 Sagoto with beam, double hold, biped legs, and captor. GLM-0 Sekizo with triple missile, tank legs, and continuous P. And DGD-0 GO Death with optic guard, double sacrifice, float legs, and mirage. Now, ultimately, even though it looks like there's been a pretty solid pattern of them rerunning previous weeks' fierce battles over the last several weeks, it still is a lot of very solid and very versatile parts to be found between batches. This week in particular, Queen Vespa is definitely going to be an MVP of the week, primarily for static, mostly because on the grounds that it basically is an instant 50% cut of any any total HP that it attacks. That particularly bulky shield, like a Basalt or a Virgo at 23k HP, well, guess what? It's no longer 23k anymore once static gets a hold of them, making it a whole lot easier to break down anything that tries to wall you with sheer HP and bulk. On top of that, Sekizo I would also recommend as an MVP of the week, not necessarily for the AoE gunpowder that is missile, but mostly for the tank legs with continuous P, because essentially for the first 5 turns of battle, Sekizo's legs will allow the user to go just a little bit faster, even if just in very small increments over time, which will kind of solve his own speed problem to a point. Aside from that, all the other models are very solid as well for what they bring to the table. Gun Desperado for anti-air if you need it, Hakato for the mixed range and utility that it brings, Sagoto for basically just your hold and capture type spam, and of course GO Death for any of your sacrifice nukes. So it's worth it to hold all 6 of these just to have in the libraries, but Queen Vespa and Sekizo are definitely the MVPs of the week for a reason. Now, continuing on with the 5.5-year anniversary celebrations, much like with previous anniversaries, we're also getting a brand new pair of Medarotters to celebrate the milestone as well. This time around, it will be Azuma and Chitose from Medarot DS. Azuma's particular new bonus with this one is that when activated, armor will not fall under 50% for 1 turn or until attacked, whichever comes first. Now, this is a pretty common skill. We've seen it a handful of times already, especially with a lot of the other previous collab Medarotters, so not really anything to mark here for what he brings to the table, but it's still a very solid skill to use as far as life insurance is concerned, just to kind of guarantee that if you know you're going to get pelted really hard on that next turn, it's usually better to have this than not at all. Chitose, on the other hand, will buff heating and cooling of defense skills when using a defense skill, stacking, of course, up to 3 times. So, very solid bulk between the 2 of these and what they bring to the table. And it's kind of obvious that both of these can be used interchangeably on King Landio if you do choose to go after him. Now, I did see a heads up as well on the updates that the banners will also feature all the other previous anniversary Medarotters, so it's going to be a really good opportunity to pick up on a lot of those as well, and a lot of the very solid skills that they all bring to the table additionally. Now, as far as events are concerned, this first half of the 5.5-year anniversary is going to be featuring a lot of very special limited time rewards, such as the Armor Medal, which is a brand new Guard Nature Medal. Once again, best in slot for King Landio for any havers that want to go after him, with a mastery of melee, defense, and setup, and leg masteries in biped, float, and sea. We also have the opportunity to earn GCT-0 Potato Insect as an event reward. Now, We do have her kit and what she brings to the table, but unfortunately no specs, which I don't really understand why they're not doing that this week. So unfortunately, I will not have her breakdown for you at time of recording, which is of course July 22nd, 2025, but that will be coming in the next couple days when she does officially drop. However, it is also worth noting that Potato Insect also will be the first event reward model to be capable of meta change. So it's going to be very exciting to see what she brings to the table when she does drop and join the roster as model players to go after. We can also earn the BGM Evil Spirit from Medarot 3, which was a battle theme from that original game, and this event will be featuring the Meta Wheel of Fortune. And for those that are unaware, basically you'll be earning tickets that you can use to collect and put towards a special gachapon wheel. And essentially you will be filling out, burning that out until you use all the rewards, move to the next box, and continue and rinse and repeat. So that being said, it will be a ticket-based event, and bonuses will be stacking per part. But I think this is going to be a fairly later event as far as that is concerned. One other thing to mention on the Meta Wheel of Fortune is that there is an infinity box at the very end of box 10. So if you do manage to burn your way all the way through all 10 of the limited boxes, the infinity box does give you access to other infinite rewards such as gacha tickets, Cyplasmium in many cases, and a lot of other limited time resources. On the topic of Medarot 3 and other things related to it, we also have a couple of new paid bundles that are incoming as well. The first of which is a special purchase ticket, the trump card ticket, which upon redeeming in game will give you one of the 4 trump cards at random. The originals, I should clarify. This can include Genking, May Queen, Jackal, or First Ace at random. So all 4 of them are very solid in their own right. Ultimately, Jackal is kind of going to be the MVP of the bunch as one of the big 3 defenders, but the other 3 are still just as viable. Furthermore, there also is a new BGM pack being added to the game as well as a purchase, and that is a Medarot 3 Reimagined BGM pack, featuring a lot of remastered tracks such as Beat Up, Shout, and another remix of Evil Spirit. So, very much so looking forward to listening to those and giving them a go, and being completely honest, if it's a Medarot remix, it's always going to be fantastic, so can't really go wrong there. Now, going forward, there actually are a handful of other really big quality of life updates that will be going live here in the next through this next patch, so it is going to be pretty exciting all the same. The first of which, as I'm going to step aside here and just kind of get out of the way, is that we're getting a lot of models that are added to the MetaSearch Redeem Shop, which is essentially if you farm enough points up to 12k, you can redeem for one free part of your choice in this batch. Now, just to look at the models that are being highlighted here in particular, and just to list them off, Faynit, Vagueman, and Mad Muscle, of course, were previous event rewards, and I'm actually kind of surprised that they did introduce them, but still very exciting all the same. As far as gacha models are concerned, though, whom will also be added to the Unit of Choice redemption ticket that you can purchase from the web store. And those models, as you see for the remainder of the list, are Sweet, Cradle, Arc BDT, and Tyrell BT, which are the crafty mode variants, Tearful Bunny 3, Unitress and Excise C crafty modes, Iliako and Fegaro Force, Duo Kaiser, Koga Senjo, and Shadow Armor, Shushu Pop 3, Snake Queen, Lily Mare, Kaiser Arc, Luminous Titan, and Azu Ruler. So there's a lot of very fantastic models and a lot of extremely powerful parts to be found between all of these here. Now, even though this does mean you have to play the long game if you're planning to go after full sets with this, which I highly recommend up front that you don't, there are still a lot of fantastic parts that can be found from these. Just a couple examples off the top of the list. Shadow Armor's wheel leg with heavy arms is arguably one of the best of the bunch with that leg ability, so easily cracked on any terrain that it goes after. Kaiser Arc for gear change and a lot of the fantastic heating skills that it brings to the table. Luminous Titan, Azu Ruler, lots of fantastic skills and parts, like I said, that will be added to the MetaSearch Redeem. And all of the gacha models, one final reminder, are also being added to the Unit of Choice redemption ticket that you can purchase from the web store. Now, as I kind of step back into frame here and we continue onwards with this, there are a couple of other big quality of life updates, like I said. The first of which is parts can now be toggled to cap only at 90 if you burst upgrade them. So originally to this, a lot of people did complain that if you choose to just max a part all the way up, it's going to push it all the way to level 100, no ifs, ands, or buts, and use all the resources required. Well, It was kind of a headache for a while, but that is no longer the case. They will be adding a brand new toggle in the max function when you go to raise parts that will allow you to toggle on or off the use of NFRPS, which means you can cap parts at 90 comfortably without having to do it one level at a time and one ascension at a time for the same result. Additionally, MetaSnap will also now be featuring meta change formations when taking pictures, so any meta change models such as, say, Jackal, Tyrell Beetle, Gothic Mate, Kreutz Bison, or anyone else the like that features a meta change alternative form will now be capable of having their snapshots taken and posted in the MetaSnap feature. So very exciting to see all that when it does launch, and seeing what people come up with from there. Furthermore, there's a couple more features that are going to be added with this quality of life. The first of which is there will now be a weekly mission section added to Nye's workshop, as you see here. Now, a lot of these missions are going to be fairly straightforward, including completing a certain number of row battles, or gacha pulls, or even online or Meta League PvP. But they will be featuring a brand new limited time resource that you can only get through here, or if you're a Meta Pass holder, and that is called a skip ticket. Now, what does a skip ticket do exactly? Basically, it allows you to accelerate to the end of the fight without ever having to even compete in it and instantly obtain the rewards. So this is going to be a new way to kind of do a lot of burst farming without actually having to do anything if you find yourself short on time and on resources. On top of that, they are also going to be updating the energy cap from 2,000 to 9,999. So if you're looking to kind of farm everything all at once without having to really pay attention to it, especially with the introduction of the skip tickets, this is definitely going to be a really solid update for you to keep in mind and keep an eye out for. So really looking forward to that when it drops and seeing just how it will change farming for events when it does officially go live. Now, as far as the Meta Survivor side of things is concerned, it's going to be a very quiet week on there. Nothing new to report. They basically are just rewinding the Empress Patra and Morgan Roof events and reward refresh, alongside the introduction of the Meta Speed King minigame for the event again. So, very exciting to see that officially start making cycles again in Meta Survivor. No new models to announce, no new guest artists, mostly just business as per usual through the course of this next week. Now, moving on to community stuff, though, as always, we are always looking for translators to assist us with any current projects or endeavors. That includes the Medarot 4 translation or the Medarots Reloaded or manga translation projects. So if you are knowledgeable in coding or coding or Japanese, or if you know somebody that does and have time on your hands, feel free to reach out to us either on Discord or even me personally, and I can get you in touch with the right people so we can fill you in on what still needs done and what has been done. Because we would love to see the Ikki saga with Medarot 4 completed so we can see the story to its completion, but we need assistance to do that. Alternatively, as always, you can also donate to the cause with a link to various crowdfunding below as well in the comments, so you can donate to the cause and we can commission to have those lines of text translated. So that means it'll be lighter work on the coders and cleaners, so all they have to do is just tile set and make things look pretty as the patches are released. Once again, feel free to reach out to us either on Discord or even me personally to fill you in on what still needs done and what has been done. One final note before I do wrap us up here, as a friendly reminder, I am always open for art commissions as well. This includes live 2D models ready to rig, 3D models with the works, standard art, or emote bundles. I do just a little bit of everything, so feel free to reach out to me as well on your social media platform of choice so we can try to get that done, so we can get that worked on and coordinated. I do just about anything, like I said. I just will not do anything gore or NSFW, but that is kind of to be expected and kind of par for the course, so feel free to reach out to me and we can most certainly try to make something happen. But with all that aside, that does basically cover everything for this week's episode. So, like I said, it's going to be a very exciting week as far as the 5.5-year anniversary is concerned. With the introduction of King Landio, more than likely going to be shaking up the meta as far as the big defenders of the game is concerned, with the introduction of a meta change type Zettai guard that he brings to the table. But if you'd like to know more, you can follow us below on Facebook at the Medarot News Network page, or the Metabots Forever community that I do also run and manage, and is cresting nearly 50,000 members to date. You can also join us on Discord in the link provided and in the comments below to keep an even closer ear to the ground on the action. This includes any new links to merchandise, fan art, contests, updates, my weekly episodes, or anything else of the like. That is the first place you will hear it before it goes anywhere else on the net. You can also Reach out to me personally on Twitter, Blue Sky, or Discord as well at Isagami Kura, so I always leave my DMs open on purpose for that very reason, so don't be a stranger, stop on in and say hello. That also applies if you're looking for an art commission or if you'd like to collaborate with me, which is me having you here on the MNN as a guest host, or me stopping in on your channel for a friendly chat or a game. I would love to try to make something happen. Lastly, do also give Mono0 and Risaise a follow as well on Twitter for the wonderful arts that they bring to the table. And honestly, I can't emphasize enough how much I love shouting out artists in the Medarot community. You will not be sorry at us adding Mono0 and Risaise to your arts for the wonderful stuff that they bring the community at any time they choose to make any updates or post anything. But with all that being said, as always, I do appreciate you all for stopping in, just as you always do. And until next time, this is your host, Kura Isagami of the Medarot News Network, signing out.